welcome to What the Hell. Today we're going to talk with it's Schwab, right? Or Schwab?
Schwab, correct.
Schwab. Okay, we're talking with Kurt Schwab. He is a candidate for the governor of Texas. And first of all, we'll go ahead and with Johnny with the a couple of questions, and we'll just get a basis of what you're trying to do for Texas.
All right, I'm not gonna paint you into a corner. I'm not gonna give you any of these gotcha questions. I'm not gonna toss you any I'm not gonna tee up a softball question for you either.
All right.
Well, maybe later, like at the end, but we'll figure it out. Was taking a look at your website to kind of get a feel for some of your stances on the issues, but as it related to border security, I kind of wanted to get your take on what you propose to do as far as helping to shore up our southern border.
First of all, I have to tell you that I think it's an embarrassment to have our current governor ask for donations and ask for help from other states. We have the resources here. The other thing is why are we arresting people and putting them in jail? Because guess who's paying the bill? Texans will eventually be paying the bill. So, what I propose to try and do, what I'd like to do, is I think we need to set our foot down. I think we need to mean business and not just say, oh, you're going to jail. Well, they get a roof over their head and they get 3 square meals a day. So I think we need to come down, and if it's possible, I think we need to come down and say, look, anybody that crosses the border illegally or with any type of drugs or with any weapons, I think we need to, call me crazy, but I think we need to log them as a terrorist, because anybody wants to come into our country illegally, somehow, some way, they will do us harm. And I think if we come out with that, I think people will probably change their mind. Now, with that being said, I have no issue with our government reaching out to the different countries of the people that are trying to cross the border and seeing what their issues are. It might be something as simple as putting lights in the streets, maybe securing a little bit better safety factors within their cities, but something. And I think if we would show initiative on doing that, I think things would change.
Absolutely. Just to kind of follow on to that border security question, we've got a lot of private citizens, a lot of Texans that have a lot of ranch land, a lot of farmland along that border. Would you consider expanding the castle law here in Texas to help those private citizens protect their private property?
Oh, absolutely. Our farmers are a big resource and piece of our communities. And we need to help protect them as much as possible. I don't care what we do, because if it gets past the farmland, then it's just going to keep migrating into Texas, and we need to stop that.
What about actual, because we used to have something called ranch rescue. I think it was like 2002 to 2006, which we actually had like this small amount of people that were armed and they were protecting the ranch. Would it be more efficient to give a little bit of subsidiaries to these ranchers to offset something like that on their own land?
Well, first of all, I'd like to hear you say that 10 times.
Me being dyslexic and trying to talk half the time, I can't even say certain words, so it's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, the word he was going for, I think, was subsidies.
Yeah, probably.
All right, we'll go with that. I think our federal obviously not interested in improving our land, especially Texas. Texas should be the #1 state. And if you've seen recently, we just came out on some poll that Texas is not the we're not the kindest state anymore. We need to change that. And I think people are getting angry because we're so focused on hating the people that are coming across illegally. So if we change our tune and start stepping things up, I'd like to bring that back. I'd like to bring Texas back as a friendly state. So if the government is not going to protect our land, each individual down on the border has every right to do so. And we need to stand behind those people.
Yeah, and I saw that coming up on September 1st, Governor Abbott signed a law that's going to become effective on the 1st of September. It's a constitutional carry law. Now, part of that, there were some parts of that House bill. Things, and I everything that I've seen from this so far, I like it. Specifically as it relates to things like authorizes constitutional carry in Texas, meaning law-abiding Texans can legally carry a handgun without a license to carry. And that's from the Schaefer-Schwartzner portion of the House Bill 1927. There was also something in here about silencers, which suppressors, you know, but
right.
the verbiage in here says silencers. I know, and you know, that's just like it's not a clip, it's a magazine.
Yeah.
House Bill 957, the Oliverson and Springer portion of it, it repeals criminal offense of possessing, manufacturing, transporting, or repairing a firearm suppressor. It also ensures that any firearm suppressor manufactured within the state of Texas and remains here will not be subject to federal law or federal regulation. My question about this law and the different parts of it is, with your stance on the Second Amendment, according to your website, you're very pro Second Amendment.
Yes.
So is this something that, I mean, obviously you're going to stand behind, and it's not something that you're going to, you know, because I know the executive order is just it's a very popular tool, but you know, as far as like any shortcomings that the law may have, once it gets here and it starts being put into practice and it's being observed, we may start seeing some like loopholes within the law kind of a thing. If you were to be elected governor, would that be something that you would work with the state legislature to fix? Or would you, you know, how would you address those?
Well, I think all the pieces that go along with any gun and being allowed to carry, as long as it's manufactured in Texas, I'm all for that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody should have any kind of legal tag weighing them down to do that. And I think, as you probably know, one of my points on my format is Texas-owned businesses.
Right.
So we need to push that. And as long as we stand behind Texas-owned businesses, that would absolutely be a part of standing behind and making sure that continues to flow.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought up the point of Texas-owned businesses, because this kind of follows in, or kind of runs into my next question, is would you incentivize, or what kind of incentives would you be willing to offer gun and ammunition manufacturers to locate or relocate to the state of Texas?
You know, somebody brought that up a while back, but not with the gun manufacturers, but with, say, Facebook and Google and, all those big corporations. I want to attract those businesses here. I want to be able to hire Texans and create more jobs with those. However, by giving them, for lack of better words, free reign to move here and no taxes, I think that's wrong. We need to create income for Texas. Now, I think if we do that, we can help with the personal property taxes from the employees that either move here or get hired on here, or, whatever the case is, because we need to lower personal property tax or put a cap on it. We can't get rid of it. I mean, that's just, I would like to. I'm a 70% disabled veteran. I'd love to get rid of it. But, that's part of our income. And, but I think we need to tag the big businesses that want to move here. I think we need to get their tax money.
Well, the thing about that, though, is like what they did in Georgia. Georgia, the reason why most of the movies are actually being made in Georgia is because each movie gets a 30% tax break for them to actual film. And
Right, but now you're talking about a different subject.
yeah,
So I have
that
a
would be
friend
the
of
same
mine.
incentive though. You move your
Well,
business here
well,
and you
no,
get like a s- like a 20% tax break for so many years on something
no.
like that.
When you film here, that's only a short time, one time deal because you're for the local restaurants and so forth. I have a friend of mine who's president of Hip Films, who keeps me apprised and all that, and also actor Patrick Kilpatrick. Kilpatrick is a good friend of mine. So those are one and dones. Now with the corporate world, if they want to move their entire corporation here, then maybe we set up a stepping stone in taxes. You know, you don't pay so much for the first 5 years, and you bump it up to the next. It off at 15.
Either your connection or our connection. Can you go ahead and repeat that because the connection is kind of
Yeah,
bad right now. We
it
lost all of that.
yeah, it went in and out. So yeah, just the last couple of things that you touched on there.
Yeah.
Um,
Bringing them in
Bell,
permanently as a corporation, it started to break up
gotcha.
from there.
Right. I think if the big companies want to move here, bring their corporate headquarters here, I think we need to utilize their taxes, whether we put them on a stepping stone, 1 to 5 years, they pay X amount of percent, 5 to 10 years, they pay a higher percent and so on. And we cap it out at 15 or 20 years. But we need to rely on the corporate world's taxes.
And how would you actually stop on something that's actually new for police officers that's been happening recently is the sovereignty people, to where basically what it is they say they're part of a sovereign nation within our nation and they don't have to obey our laws.
Look, you're in America. You're in the United States of America. When you step in and you come through customs, you have to abide by our laws. If you're in Texas and the highway speed limit is 70 miles an hour and you're doing 90, you're getting a ticket.
Well, what's really funny about that, though, it's not other nations saying that. It's actually people that are born and bred in the United States. And what it is, the cops are having problems with it only because, say that you get somebody, you arrest him. He's saying he has sovereignty and everything like that. He bogs up the court system and everything. What's not the problem with that? It's still a problem. But the problem is him saying it while he's getting arrested, and you have Joe Schmo over there thinking, "Oh, he might have a point. I'm going to try this next," and it escalates after that.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm not too familiar with that.
It's fairly new. Like it's been happening a lot in Washington, that whole Seattle thing when Seattle had that whole block, that was an attempt to sovereignty little area. And that's what, and it's just escalating a little bit more nowadays.
I mean, look at Washington State. I mean, that's
I know.
Source. But here in Texas, if you're in Texas, you abide by the Texas laws, cut and dry. I don't care about any sovereignty, whatever. You're in Texas, you abide by Texas laws, just like everybody else has to.
Okay.
Now, I know that we came dangerously close to having a state income tax put on us. And it's just because of the size and the expenditures every month that the state government has to put out. And for me, at least, I know this may be oversimplifying the issue, But for me, I think one of the quickest ways to reduce the amount of money that the government spends is to reduce the size of the welfare rolls. So what incentives would, or, or how would you address incentivizing people to come off of the welfare rolls?
I've been seeing this post on Facebook several times. It says instead of paying $300 a week to not work, how about paying $300 a week for them to work? Imagine how quickly our unemployment rate would drop with that.
Right.
It's a shame that I've gone into several establishments where I see signs, please be patient. We're short staffed. Thanks for your time, whatever the case is. I've never seen that in my life. I think it's crazy. I think the federal government is hurting us by doing that, and I keep seeing news clips of a fourth stimulus check possibly coming out. And that's crazy. We need to get people back to work. We need to force them back to work and get people off of relying on the government.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, because for me, at least, I say identified. I don't want to be like identify as an Apache helicopter or anything like that. But whenever people ask me what my political affiliation is, I don't tell them that I'm Republican or Democrat. I'm a Reagan conservative. And
there you go.
So, I believe in certain edicts that we must abide by, and that includes a small but limited government. We need to trust but verify. We need to have our peace through strength. And just like Ronald Reagan stated when he was leaving the White House on his farewell address, America needs to be that shining city on the hill. And people come here, obviously, from all over the world, whether it's legally or illegally. I mean, if our country was that bad, they wouldn't be coming here. But, I do think that the fact that we've got so many people on the welfare rolls that, I mean, it goes all the way back, for me, it goes all the way back to the 60s when President Johnson and the Democrats passed the Fair Deal Act. And when they created this underclass of voters by enabling that womb to tomb, government dependency, culture. And that's something for me as not only a citizen of the state of Texas, but as a voter, I want to see that reduced. I want to see these people come off of the welfare rolls. I want to see them become self-sufficient, because among other things that makes our country as great as it is the fact that we're able to pick ourselves up by our bootstraps. And welfare, when it was originally created, was never intended to be a handout. It was designed to be a hand up, and
Sure.
and it was supposed to be a hand up that was to be paid back. And as it stands now, we're on our second or third generation of welfare recipients, and they're not having to pay a single dime of that money back.
Right.
So, and go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say that, even though that the government and the state has ended, this pandemic money. Now, I have a friend who they drive for Lyft, and they don't wear a mask. They can't wear a mask, and Lyft is still requiring the drivers to wear a mask. So, I think it needs to depend on the situation. If a guy's relying on driving Lyft as his job, then he's kind of. So I think it depends on the way. For the most part, we need to get people, especially Texans, back to work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, bottom line for me, yes, the Texans need to be put back to work. But I'm addressing, it's the. I want to avoid the word slovenly, but that's the mentality that's been adopted, whether they're conscious of it or not. They have no incentives to go back to work. Now, these individuals like your friend who drive for Lyft, and that's what they do for a living. I mean, at least at that point, they're doing something to try to get back into the workforce, whether they're classifying themselves as self-employed or an independent contractor or whatever it is that Lyft or Uber does. that's fine. But it's more of the people who being on welfare is their job. And,
Right.
And it's those individuals that, and at some point I know that they're going to have some kind of rehabilitation, some kind of vocational training. And those are the incentives that I'm looking for. It's like, are we going to create, I know that we've got the workforce commission throughout the, the various counties within our state,
Right.
but those programs, I think they're kind of there right now as more of a, I mean, I think that they just kind of take up space. They really don't have any power to them. And I'm not talking power as far as like authoritative rule.
Sure.
I'm talking about they don't have a lot of punch. The people that are going to the workforce commission are not being held to a standard. It's like you
Right. Well, I will tell you
this
this.
type
I
of
think
job.
if we're gonna look at people, if we're gonna look at people on getting them back to work, as you know, I'm an Air Force combat veteran.
Right.
One of my major items is veterans, and I think that would be my first step, is to get veterans who can go back to work, and help as much as possible. They are afraid to go back to work because maybe they have certain issues. Maybe, I know it sounds funny to some people, but maybe back to the work. Maybe they need to have multiple breaks within an hour, and some things that some employers may not like. But we need to help people regardless get back to work, and need to do it fast, because come July 26th, that's it. I mean, you're going to see a lot more probably foreclosures. You're going to see a lot more evictions. And so far, I have not seen anything done for these people except extend the date to keep people from being evicted or foreclosed on.
Right. All right. So we're gonna transition from that subject, something with a little bit more of.
Well, I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Another one. On certain alternative, talking about helping me out veterans and everything like that, especially combat veterans that have PTSD. Now, would you be into going into a different alternative medical ways to actually help these people out, such as using DMT, which is basically a hallucinogen, to actually stop? Because a lot of actual people that have actually gone to a ayahuasca event where they're in a secure area, they're taken care of, they're making sure nothing goes really wrong when they do their hallucinogens, to the point to where they can go through it, they can get past it, and it helps them out horrendously. I mean, not horrendously, but tremendously. Yeah, word's not good for me.
Right.
But some states actually approve it, but Texas has not approved something like that as of yet. Would you be willing to go through that? And I mean, it really does. I mean, there's only like one instance, but he kept on falling off the wagon and everything. So he wasn't really trying to help himself and ended up committing suicide. But there's actual people out there that's actually tried this, and it's really just fixed him.
No, absolutely. We need to get cannabis passed, not only for health reasons, but also taxes. If we tax it, I mean, I want to utilize that tax money and put it towards first responders. We could create a Texas Border Patrol. We could help get new equipment or updated equipment for our first responders across the state. But as far as the health portion, absolutely. I've talked to a lot of people who do use it, and I've heard nothing but good things. I've looked into it, done some reading on it myself. We already have CBD oil that's here. It's approved. But if we're going to do it, we need to go all the way. Now, the only issue is if we do that, the feds are not going to let those folks open up a bank account yet. So what do we do? And that is something that I have talked to multiple people on any idea of creating a system, especially for that. And we haven't come up with that yet, but we will.
Are you talking about the purveyors, the entrepreneurs that would set up like dispensaries that
Correct.
would provide? Yeah, I don't know what kind of a system that Oklahoma has, but I know that Oklahoma has a lot of marijuana dispensaries around there. I know that Colorado, they've got a recreational law up there now. So that might be something that we could look at to apply here. But as far as like along the lines of the medical questions, the last numbers the CDC released for Texas was in 2017. And they showed that 11.4% of Texans are diabetic. That number, obviously, it's going to flex either way because the numbers are 4 years old now. But where would you stand, or where do you stand on Texas Senate Bill 827? What that is it puts a cap of $25 a month or per month for insulin. Where do you stand on that? Because we know that. We know that there was an executive order signed by Joe Biden that basically eliminated the rule that Trump put into place when he took office, that put a cap nationally on what pharmaceutical companies could charge. But as soon as President Biden took office, that number tripled basically overnight. I know a lot of people personally that are diabetic, just like everybody else, and I'm sure that you know a lot of people as well. This is a life-saving drug. This is something that's essential for the quality of life. And I find it borderline, personally, I find it borderline criminal, that pharmaceutical companies can charge as much as they do.
I completely agree with you. Anybody that is not willing to serve, then it's our criminal or whatever we can get them with. But we're Texans, Oklahomans, whoever you are. We're average people, and we need to help each other. We need to help get past certain things in our life, and if we need to do whatever we can to keep the price down on insulin for these folks to survive, then by golly, we need to do whatever we can. And if that means coming up with some kind of a Texas health system, I know we have JPS and so forth, but if we come up with our own health system, I think maybe we can do some good on that.
Okay, so at the beginning of our interview, the beginning of the show, I told you that I wasn't going to give you a softball question. And well, the Democrats get all kinds of softball questions. So I'm going to give you one. So I hope you're ready for it. All right. So just make sure you're good and solid in the batter's box, because I expect you to hit this one out of the park.
If not, we might have communication problems.
At least you're honest. But what's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
French vanilla.
See, it's
okay. That's a safe answer.
Now, when we actually first met, we've actually for everybody else, we have actually met you. We met you at the barbecue fest. How good was that barbecue? Because Johnny said some of it was really, 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 really good to the where it changed his religion.
It reinforced my faith in God.
Some of it was good. No, some of it was really good. Some of it was dry too.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was a thing I kept on telling, because me and my brother-in-law, I'm actually a chef. Come around, I just haven't cooked at a restaurant in a while, but the stuff still sticks with me and everything. And a lot of the people out there, they were using aluminum foil. And an actual person that actually does like brisket and everything, you don't use aluminum foil. What you do is you use butcher paper, and they're not using butcher paper. That's the reason why a lot of them were dry.
Huh. Well, I'm not a.
It's all about that
barbecue.
temp, though. And once that temp stalls, you got to crutch it by wrapping it in the butcher paper, and then you can wrap it with some towels and stick it in a cooler for a couple of hours, a dry cooler, just to let it rest. That's the key right there.
Yeah.
Good brisket needs to rest. I don't care who you are.
Well,
Fight me on
that's
it.
any kind of beef meat.
Yeah.
Even your steaks, you let off the after you get done cooking and everything, you let
And
it
even
off
though
of the
ribs aren't a
heat.
Texas thing per se, you got to let ribs. You got to crutch ribs too. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
that would be a
my-
great
my
question.
Steaks, my steaks, I put in Ziploc bag, and bag.
You broke up horribly.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
communication problems.
So,
He called it
soon-
right there.
I can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
I can hear you now.
All right. So with my steaks,
Every time
You
it gets to the steak part, it doesn't want to work.
and then I in a Ziploc bag. So I put the steak in a Ziploc bag, and I fill the Ziploc bag with Italian dressing, and I let it sit overnight.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I've done that with like ranch and stuff like that. You get the flavor and everything. I've done it with like whiskey. I've done it with beer. I mean, I just don't like
I keep it
get the
simple.
taste of
You
the
got to
food.
have good marbling, salt and pepper, 5 minutes on each side, grill marks, dude. Just saying. Medium
Well,
rare is the way to go.
I have this stuff that's it's like garlic and butter.
Well, that's after the fact. I'm talking about while you're cooking. Unless you want to get all Gordon Ramsay about it, then you cook everything in a pan, and then you put butter and a little bit of thyme, and then you're sitting there with a spoon. No, that's just stop.
Don't forget to baste it with rosemary leaves or branches
Hey,
and everything.
Hey guys, I want to mention two other things too.
Okay.
I got to mention my book, The First 3 Months in Life After Deployment. It's about me and my air crew, reserve air crew on a C-130 flying over in Iraq and Afghanistan. That's out on Amazon and about 32,000 other entities out there.
And you said it's called The
The other
First 3
thing is,
Months?
I want to mention The First 3 Months in Life After Deployment. You'll see it when you Google it on Amazon. It's an air crew standing next to a C-130. And that picture was actually taken in Afghanistan.
Okay.
Okay.
And then the other thing is I want to mention our veterans organization, Veterans of Operation Iraqi Enduring Freedom, or the short version is VOIEF, VOIEF, VOIEF.org. So we're putting everything together. We're revitalizing that. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, no problem. Just text me the links to those stuff, and I'll put it in the description of the video.
I will.
Well, you have the dubious honor, or maybe, I don't know, dubious would be the right word. You've basically served as guinea pig because you are our first political interview on this show.
So yeah.
Right on.
So
And a veteran.
yeah.
And a veteran
Yeah.
So,
for that.
but
We did one for the team.
well, when we signed up, we signed up to be guinea pigs anyway, so it doesn't matter. So you're just keeping the standard. That's all you're doing.
Oh yeah, I got
thanks.
one. I totally blanked out, and I freaking reviewed this today so I can actually ask this question and get your opinion on it. How do you got your opinion on Adam West throwing his hat into the governorship for Texas?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Colonel Allen West. Yeah.
I as a veteran, I have. But as I told somebody else on another interview, I'm not a comedian. I'm not a car salesman, and I'm not somebody that used his prior office as a stepping stone to try to do something on a personal note, just as a vendetta. Alan West is still a career politician, no matter how you look at it. And that's one thing I am not. I am not a career politician. I just jumped in with both feet. I seen things that were going awry, and I was always taught you can't complain unless you try to fix it. So I am trying to use my military knowledge, my military skills, as a non-career politician to move forward and try to help the folks here in Texas.
Okay.
Outstanding. Well, we definitely appreciate your time today, and we'll give you the last parting shot.
Yeah. Tell us, everybody, where you can get reached at.
You can reach me at my website at kurtschwab.com, or my email is Kurt, K-U-R-T, at kurtschwab.com. So it's pretty simple.
Okay.
Well, Kurt, thanks a lot for your time again. And we really appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to to sit down with us through all of the hiccups and the glitches. And so, but yeah, we appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Great. Thanks for your time, guys. Appreciate
All
it.
right.
No problem.
Take care.
Thank you.